Remember, please hit like and subscribe for me. Thank you so much. Okay, let's go. Hi, everyone. Today's Monday, November the 3rd. My name is Anne-Marie Band, and this is the Moneyball Morning Report for the Benzinga Pro platform. Charts by TrendSpider and gamma lines by the amazing Mentor Q. So today I am showcasing, not showcasing, more of observing this cool little tool called the Dynamo Cloud. I think it's sort of a very interesting way to present a shift of moving averages, but I was asked to take a look at it, and so we'll look at it this week. It's kind of a cool little tool. Here's how it works. The primary ribbon gives you directional frameworks, right? And it goes from green to red. It's either positive or negative. This is probably some sort of moving average with this moved in here. And this is also another moving average. But here's what's kind of cool. When you slip through this bar and you go, I'm going to take a trade short. This cloud here tells you that if you take a trade short, it is counter trend in the current environment. The shade of the ribbon tells you it's counter trend. And so as the moving average flattens out, it tells you, we know about moving averages being above and below. They have that when they flatten out, it means that there's as much time spent above as below in terms of average closing candles. All right, so it was counter trend, and then the ribbon changed, and we were very far below, and now we're up here. Now, you might go, what are you doing that for? Well, obviously, I'm just observing it. You guys know that my primary event is all about price action, not necessarily moving averages. Moving averages give me the information that a trend line would give me, right? Only it's more fluid. So those of us that sit around in moving averages, you want to be very careful. When a chart is beautifully trending, it's one of the easiest and most excellent ways to take a trade. But when price action starts doing this, it's tough. It's tough, especially if you're trying to trade in tighter frameworks. Now, let's continue on. What are we seeing today? Friday, we saw a very big pocket of sideways motion that literally began at the open and stayed fairly valid until about 11 o'clock when it broke. Where did it break? At the loss of the anchored VWAP and the failure to recapture that position. All right, so if I were to draw an arrow, it would be this failure event here that tells us we have more downward flow, takes us into the put wall, and the double bottom event that gives us the nice bounce. Now, what's our relative trend? It's down. Of course, our Dynamo Cloud also says it's down, but we can see that from high, lower high, lower high. What's momentum? It's mixed, bullish and bearish. Our oscillator, which I use inside of the other platforms, is in positive territory. So to me, it's telling me dips or buy zones, but the line in the sand I do not want to break is 6,871. Why? Well, that's where the gap fills, right? They came in just shy of the gap. The anchored VWAP event is 6,876. So that would be the region I would start thinking about, all right, maybe I'll take a long right here. If it does pull back into that space, right now, this number at 6,900 is really giving us the short entry event in general, right? The stop, the ATR has been, I wish they had an indicator where it just put the ATR up as a line here and you could see it, and it's not some big jagged whatever, because I don't like a ton of indicators underneath here. We had a big volume event on Friday, a lot of people trying to hold this area as support. I mean, wow. They tried to do it here. There's a lot of volume here. I would not be surprised to see us revisit this area because of the amount of excessive volume here being the the framework for the edges. Okay, so what are we staring down? 0 DTE gamma wall, 69.25. 0 DTE put gamma wall, 68.50. It has not changed. Put wall has not changed. Deep put wall still at 6,700 below. Call wall, the big call wall, 7,000. That's perfectly fine, but it was 7,100, and so they've moved it in. If I squeeze the chart in, we can easily see that we're compressing, right? We are sitting in a range. One, we broke out after the news, but we still do not have the gap fill, right? The gap fill here is at 6,825. Also that anchored VWAP from the close. That's what we're staring down. Mixed bag today, higher lows, lower highs. So we are compressing with relative trend still being up above the gap, right? My suspicion is better to have the deep dips as the buys or compress into the tight time frames and watch it get up over 6,904. Value area high, 6,940. Value area low, 6,862. All right, let's go to the NQ. What do we have here? Same sort of formation. This is Fibonacci that I drew from a while back. Price action is very mixed here from the hourly chart. So when we're looking at moving averages, we go, ooh, what is that? But if we stare down where price action accumulates and distributes, we can see that our box is really what they're trying to get back into. See this? I think they call this like 3 white soldiers or something. But the bodies tell us they're sellers all the way up here. Wick, 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 wick. That's very, very interesting. And so the failure to enter and hold the edge of support right here at 26,150 tells us, hey, listen, we've got fade action probably on the horizon here. But what's the VWAP? Well, it's kind of flat. So we have pullbacks that give us bounce zones, 26,000. Where would the gap fill? The gap would fill right here at 25,990 or so, 992. That's the high volume. That's a high volume area for the formation. Do you want to take a short here? You can. Where would you stop be? Gamma line 2, 26,200, but we can clearly see that there's a lot of room to the upside here. So if you rush in, don't rush in with a lot of contracts because it is sideways and the framework is telling us we are in some sort of wedge, right? That's going to break. So we watch for the line breaks in the wedges today to tell us what's going on. I'll put that in our chat room and we'll see how that goes. All right. Put wall, 25,850. Let's see where the, whoa, that is also, that's moved up quite a bit. This was down here at 25,000. No, 25,850 is where this has been sitting. What's moved up is the call wall, which is now 26,300. It was sitting right in here at this gamma line at 26,100 on Friday. Point of control, 26,060. VWAP, 25,990. There's a lot of price compression in here. Oh no, wait. This is a call wall right behind this. What? Yes, the call wall is still below us on the monthlies. Still below us at 26,000. They have not rotated this thing up. I find that to be very interesting. Very interesting. So we are above the monthly call wall, but below the 0 DTE call wall, which is now 26,300. Dips, probably buy zones. 26,000 looks like a great area. To fill the gap, they would need to come into this 991, 25,991. We are at the top of the average formation for these momentum oscillators, but that's just something to look at. It doesn't give us anything definitive. What will give us a definitive motion is the failure to break 26,180, which will give us a short position. But look at this congestion. It truly, could it be a flag pattern, right? Could this end up being some kind of flag pattern that says, all right, we're going to break to the north? I say probably, but the flag might come in just a little bit deeper, right? The flag might go for a little bit of a longer time. All right, let's go to gold. I should probably take a peek at oil myself, but here we go. Gold, very tight compression. What do we have here? Really, it's building a ledge. There's a broad accumulation zone all the way through. But if we tighten it up, what we can see is there really are sitting between 4,050 and 4,000. So the dips into 4,000 have been a buy zone, right? Relative buy zone. If we lose that, the put wall for the 0 DTE is 3,975. We have a lot of compression in terms of the way it's moving. Put support, 3,800. For those of us used to popping in here, making $1,000 in, I don't know, 15 minutes, it feels like it's going to be a little bit more sideways. Let's take a look at the ATR here. Hang on. All right, I don't want to dedicate that. Let's just put it lower. Right, so the ATR is continuing to decline, right? That tells us that we've got a little bit of compression on the horizon, and so we shall live with that. 4,000 below us. This is interesting. Yeah. This is very interesting. Look, the big formation says, hey, it's short. So longs are counter trend here. But now we go from long. It should be shaded here, but the primary event is here. So this is a pretty complex little indicator. It's telling us all kinds of things in terms of reflexive motion. But never mind that. What we are seeing is resistance above us, okay? And a floor of support building. Once we get up over the zone at 4040, it's my supposition that this indicator will shift to the upside, but we still have 4056. So my thought is look for the wicks, scalp down into the congestion, look for the wicks below, scalp up into the heavy congestion. Big call wall, 4,100 for the 0 DTE, and 4,200 remains the monthly call resistance. Put support, 3,800. 0 DTE put support, as I previously mentioned, 3,975. This looks very sideways to me. We really need a resolution to what's going on the hill, right? So we shall see. For all parties, we shall see. Okay, so if I do a clone event for this entire messy range that we've been in, it takes us up to the 0 DTE call wall right at 4,100. If we clone it to the downside, it puts us at value area low. That's 3,950. I think these guys are just fleshing their way out. My ideal buy zone is going to be 3,973. I'm going to look for that edge to hold. And I don't know about taking a short from underneath here. It feels very messy. All right, let's just peek at oil. as suspected. It's very sideways. 0 DTE call walls. It's battling the big call wall right now on the monthlies. That is right at 61. Also, the VWAP is there. The put support for the 0 DTE is 60.50. And the big put wall remains down here at 55. So what are the traders trying to do? They are making money with the 0 DTEs being above them, but underwater as long as they stay above 61, and they're trying to get below that. My thought is that this is a selling formation, and so the bounces up into the box of inventory. See this? It fails, and then the recovery fails the box. And this zone tells us, okay, we have a short into the next leg. It is building a floor, holding the prior anchored VWAP on the close. This one's a tough trade right here. You could trade it long, but you need to get out in a flash. Or if you're thinking, no, wait a second, this is building pressure to the upside. I see the higher lows. Let me work on that. And so this is a pretty mixed bag, but I think you can go in either direction here for sure. It's not a bad looking chart in terms of tight price action, but a little bit messy. I ultimately see it fading, but we've got a lot of things going, and geopolitical risk will, of course, shift that just a bit. Take a look at the compression in SPY. All right, the 0 DTE call wall, they're dancing up against it. It's 685. For the SPY, the 0 DTE put wall is 678. Chances are very likely that this is the floor at 678. And the deeper put wall is 670. We still have literally no inventory in the gap down here at 673, all the way to the put wall at 677. So that's something to pay attention to. What are they doing? They gave us a double bottom Thursday and Friday. That's the buy zone. So literally we're still caught in the box. Box of resistance, 687. Support floor for this box is also a gamma line at 680. Trend is drifting lower, but holding a floor, and momentum just crossed over into positive territory, but it did that over here. And so, you know what? This is just way too noisy. Let's put it on 21. See if it at least gives us slope that way. Yeah, that's a little bit better. Okay. All right, and that's what we're staring down. We've got a sideways mishmash, potential for 681 to hold as a retest of a floor. I'd say be patient today. Just wait on your positions. Let it come down and give you a good test. Otherwise, you're going to be sitting in a pretty messy patch. All right, so that's it. Good luck. I'll see you all soon. We've got a Hive meeting at 9:15 this morning, and we've got our Benzinga Pro webinar on schedule. All right, take care, everybody. I'll see you on the streams.